At this point, now that we've created an external style sheet, let's pause for a moment and consider the syntax of the CSS style sheet. And this is the basic syntax of CSS. For an external style sheet or an inline style sheet like you would have with the style tag in the head of the document, the syntax is basically like this. You have the selector, which in this case is body, and we'll talk about selectors a little bit later and different kinds of selectors. But in essence, this means that this style affects the body tag. And you have a balanced pair of curly brackets, and inside those curly brackets you have properties: background, color, font family. And those properties have arguments or attributes depending on who you're asking. I call them arguments because that is a programmer's term. And these are actually separated by semicolons. I tend to put in a terminating semicolon as well. It just avoids the confusion. Technically, this last semicolon is optional, but if I add something after that and forget to put in the semicolon, it gets to be a problem, and so I just always put it in. I treat it as if it's a terminator. Technically, it's a separator. It seems to work better for me to treat it as a terminator anyway. And there we have it. That is this basic style sheet syntax. Now, when you're putting a style inline in the document, the syntax is the same, except you don't have the selector and you don't have the brackets. You have the property and a colon and the argument. Now, in both the internal and the external style sheets, it's important to remember this colon is a colon and not an equal sign. It's so easy for us to forget and think it's HTML and put in an equal sign and wonder why our style sheet isn't working. It's a colon, folks. I make this mistake all the time. It's easy to make. The more different languages you have to deal with, the more different little details like that you have to remember. It's a colon. Just remember that when your style sheets don't work. Look for colons and look for the semicolon separating the different properties. So in a nutshell, that is what a style sheet looks like and how it works.